Relationships are complex, emotional, and constantly evolving. One of the most common frustrations people experience in them is when their partner, especially a girlfriend, seems to be always angry or irritated. It creates confusion, insecurity, and emotional exhaustion. You start asking yourself questions like, what did I do wrong? Is she unhappy with me? Is this my fault or something deeper? Understanding why your girlfriend seems constantly angry requires looking beyond the surface reactions and into emotional, psychological, and even biological patterns that influence behavior in relationships. When someone appears frequently angry, it usually means they're struggling with unmet needs, unspoken emotions, or accumulated stress. In romantic relationships, women often express their emotions more openly than men, and anger can be a mask for deeper feelings such as sadness, disappointment, or anxiety. Studies in emotional psychology suggest that anger is often a secondary emotion. It hides something more vulnerable underneath. For example, when someone feels ignored or unappreciated, their natural reaction might not be tears or calm discussion, but anger. Statistically, relationship counselors report that around 61% of couples cite communication issues as the top reason for ongoing conflict, and in 72% of those cases, one partner feels emotionally neglected or misunderstood. That's where frustration starts to build up. For many women, especially in close relationships, emotional connection and understanding are more important than grand gestures or material gifts. When they sense emotional distance, when their partner seems distracted, unresponsive, or emotionally unavailable, it triggers anxiety that often appears as irritation or anger. But the reason isn't always emotional neglect. Sometimes the anger comes from accumulated stress outside the relationship. According to behavioral research, about 46% of women report that they unintentionally transfer stress from work, studies, or family pressures into their romantic relationships. That means she might not be angry at you specifically, but you become the safest outlet for her frustration because she trusts you. It's known as displacement, a psychological coping mechanism where a person redirects emotions from their true source to a safer target. Another major factor is differences in emotional communication styles between men and women. On average, men tend to approach conflict logically, focusing on solutions, while women often seek empathy and validation first. So when a girlfriend expresses anger, she's not necessarily asking for immediate problem solving, she's looking for emotional acknowledgement. But if her partner responds by withdrawing, getting defensive, or minimizing her feelings, it reinforces her sense of being unheard, making her even more frustrated. One interesting statistic from relationship studies shows that during heated discussions, women's heart rates tend to rise faster and take longer to calm down than men's. This means arguments affect them physiologically as well as emotionally. When her body is flooded with stress hormones like cortisol, she might lash out, not because she wants to hurt you, but because she's struggling to regulate that stress. Trust and past experiences also play a powerful role. If she's been in previous relationships where she was ignored, betrayed, or emotionally manipulated, even small actions from you might trigger old fears. That's called emotional residue, leftover emotional pain from past experiences that seeps into current ones. So if you cancel plans last minute or forget to reply to a message, it might not just annoy her. It could subconsciously remind her of being neglected before. That's why sometimes your girlfriend's anger seems disproportionate to what happened. From a psychological point of view, anger in relationships is not just about behavior, it's about perception. People don't react to what you do. They react to what they think your actions mean. If she interprets your silence as rejection or your distraction as disinterest, her emotional brain triggers defensive behavior. Research in emotional cognition shows that in close relationships, partners often misinterpret each other's intentions 47% of the time. That's almost half of all emotional conflicts beginning from misunderstanding rather than actual wrongdoing. Another angle worth considering is how modern stress culture impacts romantic relationships. According to global relationship surveys, nearly 68% of young adults say they struggle to balance personal goals, work, and emotional commitments. Constant stress and digital overstimulation make people more irritable and reactive. Your girlfriend might seem angrier not because of you personally, but because she's mentally exhausted. The human brain, when deprived of proper rest and emotional regulation, defaults to irritability. In long-term relationships, the same behavior patterns can lead to what psychologists call resentment loops. It starts small. She feels unheard, you feel attacked, you withdraw, She gets angrier, and the cycle repeats. Over time, even neutral actions can trigger defensiveness. Studies show that once resentment sets in, partners interpret each other's tone negatively 65% of the time, even when the message itself is neutral. That is why something as simple as, "I'll call you later," might sound cold or dismissive to her ears, even if you didn't mean it that way. Personality differences also play a big role. Some people are naturally more expressive or emotionally intense. If she's passionate, empathetic, or sensitive, small things can impact her deeply. Psychological data indicates that highly empathetic individuals are 40% more likely to express anger in relationships because they internalize emotional tension faster. It is not that she is overreacting, it is that she feels everything more strongly. Then there's the issue of boundaries. Sometimes anger emerges when one partner feels their boundaries are not respected. That could mean not having enough personal space, time for self-care, or autonomy. When people feel trapped or over-controlled in relationships, they react with defensiveness. About 38% of couples who seek counseling mention lack of space as a major source of conflict. You should also consider how your reactions contribute to the cycle. When faced with anger, many men instinctively defend themselves, try to explain logically, or shut down emotionally. But anger feeds on reaction. If she feels dismissed or invalidated, it reinforces her belief that you don't care. Studies show that in recurring relationship conflicts, the more one partner defends, the angrier the other becomes. This happens because defense feels like rejection, not understanding. Biology plays a role too. Women's emotional states can fluctuate due to hormonal changes, especially during premenstrual phases, stress, or sleep deprivation. These physiological factors amplify emotional responses. According to medical studies, up to 85% of women experience mood changes that can temporarily increase irritability, especially when combined with emotional triggers. While this doesn't excuse anger, it helps explain why moods can shift unexpectedly. Social conditioning is another layer. Many women grow up being taught to suppress negative emotions to appear nice or agreeable. But in intimate relationships, suppressed emotions find their outlet. Anger becomes a way to finally express long-ignored feelings. That is why you might notice her being calm with others but easily frustrated with you. She feels safe enough to show her real emotions. However, constant anger can't be ignored. Prolonged emotional tension in a relationship leads to burnout. Both partners start walking on eggshells, afraid of triggering the other. Relationship health studies suggest that when unresolved anger persists for more than 6 months, it begins to reduce overall relationship satisfaction by nearly 50%. It's crucial to address it, not by confrontation, but through empathy and communication. Active listening is one of the simplest yet most effective tools. It means listening not to reply, but to understand. When she's angry, instead of jumping into defense mode, try saying something like, "I can see you re-upset. Can you help me understand what is bothering you most right now?" That simple sentence changes the tone of the entire conversation. Emotional validation lowers defensiveness, calming both sides. It's also important to communicate your own feelings clearly. If her anger hurts you or makes you anxious, express it gently. Avoid blame and use I statements. For example, "I feel confused and hurt when you raise your voice." Studies show that couples who use empathetic communication patterns are 70% more likely to de-escalate conflicts quickly. Building emotional safety should be the priority. Emotional safety means both partners feel free to express themselves without fear of ridicule, rejection, or judgment. Once safety is built, anger decreases naturally. When she knows she can speak and be heard without being dismissed, she doesn't need anger as her primary language. Taking care of your own behavior is just as essential. Show small gestures of appreciation. They go a long way. Compliments, gratitude, and physical affection trigger the release of oxytocin, a bonding hormone that naturally reduces stress and tension. Couples who regularly express appreciation report 35% fewer arguments and higher satisfaction levels. Another practical step is giving her emotional space when she's angry, instead of forcing a quick resolution. Anger needs time to cool down. Neuroscience research shows that during emotional outbursts, the rational part of the brain temporarily shuts down, making logical discussion impossible. Allowing space helps both partners process before talking. Sometimes, deeper anger has roots that can't be solved alone. If the pattern continues despite honest effort, couples therapy can be incredibly effective. Studies reveal that 75% of couples who engage in structured counseling report noticeable improvement in communication and emotional understanding. Therapy doesn't mean failure, it means commitment to growth. In short, your girlfriend's anger may not always be about you. It might be a mixture of emotional needs, stress, communication gaps, or past pain. Understanding her emotional patterns, learning to respond with empathy instead of defense, and creating a safe space for open dialogue can transform frustration into connection. Relationships thrive when both people learn not just to love, but to understand. And that understanding often begins with listening beneath the anger.